My name is Chris Green, and I did 29 CFR 1910 Subpart N, Materials, Handling, and Storage. Material handling and storage is very important because the efficient storing and handling of materials is incredibly important to all industries in the country. And moving these materials, raw or otherwise, properly and safely keeps businesses going and keeps the materials and, more importantly, the workers safe and protected. The purpose is as established under CFR 1910.176 A through G. This standard is to outline the proper use of mechanical equipment, secure storage, housekeeping, clearance limits, rolling railroad cars, and guarding when loading, unloading, handling, and storing the materials. A benefit of having the standard and its subparts in place is that it allows workers and companies to have a guideline to look to when trying to properly handle and store materials. Another benefit is having base requirements needed to protect workers from anything that would try to force them into performing unsafe procedures when handling and storing materials. Penalties of not following these OSHA requirements include, but are not limited to, fines, lawsuits, and partial or complete shutdown of one or multiple facilities. Next, we'll be covering all of these sections underneath of Subpart N. First of these sections is servicing multi-piece and single-piece rim wheels, which is 1910.177. This section is about the servicing of multi-piece or single-piece rim wheels on large vehicles like trailers, buses, trucks, off-road machines, and tractors. This section does not apply to standard automobiles or pickup trucks. Per 1910.177A3, this section also does not apply to, quote, employers and places of employment regulated under longshoring standards, 29 CFR Part 1918, construction safety standards, 29 CFR 1926, or agricultural standards, 29 CFR 1928. Next is the servicing multi-piece and single-piece rim wheel requirements. These are the subsections underneath of this section. Under this section, there are requirements for training, servicing equipment, wheel component acceptability, safe operating procedures for single-piece rim wheels. And also, under this section, there are two or more subsections titled Trajectory and Ordering Information for the OSHA charts. Trajectory specifies that you must stand clear of the trajectory of the pieces you are servicing, and ordering information for the OSHA chart specifies there are 3 charts/posters made by OSHA to cover important pieces of this section that can be printed out or downloaded by interested parties. The next section is Powered Industrial Trucks. This is 1910.178. This section details the requirements, designation, safety, training, and operations of powered industrial trucks. The requirements under powered industrial trucks are truck and vehicle designations, designated locations, converted industrial trucks, safety guards, fuel handling and storage, changing and charging batteries, and continuing into lighting for operating areas, control of noxious gases and fumes, dock boards, trucks and railroad cars, operator training, truck operations, and traveling. Continuing into loading, the operation of the truck, and maintenance of industrial trucks. There is a subsection under this section titled Stability of Powered Industrial Trucks. This subsection covers definitions, the general goal, basic principles, and the stability triangle. The next section is Overhead and Gantry Cranes, 1910.179. This section covers the requirements for the application, modifications, clearance from obstruction, clearance between parallel cranes, new and existing equipment, rated load marking, and wind indicator rail clamps for use with gantry cranes and overhead cranes. The requirements for overhead and gantry cranes start with cabs, footwalks and ladders, stops, bumpers, rail sweeps and guards, brakes, electrical equipment, hoisting equipment, moving into the warning devices, inspections, testings, maintenance, rope inspection, handling the load, and lastly, it covers some other general requirements such as ladders and fire extinguishers. The next section is Crawler Locomotive and Truck Cranes, 1910.180. This section covers the requirements for the application, new and existing equipment, and designated personnel. The requirements, specifically under Crawler Locomotive and Truck Cranes, begin with load ratings, inspection classifications, testing, maintenance procedures, rope inspection, handling the load, and continues to operations near overhead lines, and lastly, it covers some other general requirements such as cabs, rail clamps, refueling, balanced or counterweight, and fire extinguishers. The next section follows with derricks, 1910.181. This section covers the requirements for the application, new and existing equipment, and designated personnel. More specifically, derricks requirements are load ratings, inspections, testing, maintenance, rope inspection, operation of derricks, handling the load, and lastly, it covers some other general requirements such as hooks, guards, cabs, refueling, operations near overhead lines, and fire extinguishers. The next subsection under subpart N is helicopters, which is 1910.183. And I understand that we skipped 1910.182, but it does not seem to exist on the OSHA website. This section outlines all of the requirements for helicopters and their personnel/supporting personnel during loading, unloading, and transferring of materials. The helicopter requirements begin with briefings, slings and taglines, cargo hooks, personal protective equipment, loose gear and objects, housekeeping, and continue to load safety, hooking and unhooking loads, static charge, weight limitation, ground lines, visibility, and move into, finally, signal systems, approach distance, approaching helicopter, personnel, communications, and fires. The next subsection is slings, which is 1910.184. As stated in 1910.184a, the scope of this section covers slings used in conjunction with other material handling equipment. These slings must be made out of alloy steel chain, wire rope, metal mesh, natural or synthetic fiber rope, and or synthetic webs. The sling requirements are fairly simple, detailing the safe operating practices, inspections, and the requirements when using alloy steel slings, wire rope slings, metal mesh slings, natural and synthetic fiber rope slings, and synthetic web slings. And finally, we move into the bibliography, which all website and all informations used were from the OSHA website. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation.